Whenever you bring black men and women together to discuss relationship and sexuality issues, you know it's going to be a heated discussion. Well, on this episode of the Relationship Sexpert Show, we talk about what it means to be black, sexy, and single. So stay tuned for another great episode. You've tuned into another episode of the Relationship Sexpert Show. I am your host, Hasani Pettiford, and we're talking today about black, sexy, and single. Now, oftentimes when you hear about the relational state of affairs between African-American men and women, two words unfortunately come to mind: hot mess. And we're here to talk about that today. We actually have a phenomenal powerhouse of a guest panel. We have Dominic Dorsey from the University of Indiana, who's in the multicultural department and a student advisor. We have Joy Jossing, who is the author of probably 3,000 books, including Me, Myself, and Him. And she's an expert on male-female relationships. And last but not least, we have Jallow, who's a motivational speaker and publicist as well. Thanks for coming on my show.
Thanks for having us.
Let's get into this thing. You know, black male-female relationships. You know, there's an expression, and you've heard the song before, it's hard out there for a pimp. Well, it seems to be today that it's hard out there for a single black man and black woman. So tell me about the challenges that many of you have experienced or you've known others have experienced when it comes to dating in black America. Let's start with you, Joe.
Well, there's a laundry list. I wish I could speak for women, but I can definitely speak for men. I think that the expectations that they're having going in as a single person is completely different, especially when approaching a dating situation. They don't actually go in to date. They go in to mate. So it's like, I'm looking for who I'm going to take home tonight. I'm looking for another number I can add to my phone book. I'm looking for another picture I can add to my photo album. It's not necessarily someone I want to spend time with, develop a relationship with. It's another notch on the belt. It's another person I can have a story about to share with my buddies. Truth be told, guys probably gossip that much more than women about their relationships and about their sexual escapades. So
are you saying basically that the foundation of our dating or relational state of affairs is sexual?
They don't date. It's a phenomenon where you go and it's hooking up, or this is somebody I'm kicking it with. It's not dating. They never even use the term dating. If you're in a dating situation, you're actually trying to develop feelings, see where you're at, see where the compatibility is. It's not that. You put on this front, you put on this facade, and you're trying to emulate a position of what you think that person wants. So when you have men who've been dating for a while, or women who've been dating a while, or hooking up or kicking it or whatever, and you spend so much time and energy trying to project what you think these individual people want, you get lost inside these personas that you've created. So when you actually find the person you do want to marry, who are you?
Now, do you think it's an age thing? Because you say with men. So do you think it's an age thing as men mature? Does their outlook on this dating thing, does that change? Or
you have to have a certain level of failures, I think, before you reach that relationship epiphany where it's like, wow, who am I? What am I really doing with myself? What is it that I really want? Do I want a relationship, or do I just want to have quote unquote fun? And once you get to that point, I do think it's a certain level of maturity, but sometimes it's not even necessarily age. Just like they put that age versus experience, you have to go through certain things before you realize, wow, this is not where it's at. This is not what I want for my life. And once you've come to that point, you could be 25, you could be 38. It really, you could be 38 and only had 5 relationships in your entire life, or you could be 18 and have dated 20, 30 people.
What do you say about that?
What I'm finding is two separate situations, especially with the man. What I see in the men they're window shopping. They're not buying anything. And what they do is what I mean by window shopping is you go and you got this one girl and you got another girl here and you got another girl here and you window shop. And then when that model gets old, what do? You see something else, you trade her in and take her back to the store.
What you said, they're not buying anything because
no purchase.
Some of the stuff is free, if you know what I mean. So can you really fault
And even if you haven't got it for free, it's touch and go. It's like, oh, well, I talked to this girl, but I'm just going to call her just enough to keep her interested. That way, if this one falls through, I can come back.
But then on the female side, what I'm finding with my single sisters is they're looking for brothers with money. And see, if they make more money than what the brothers do, they don't want to talk to you if you're a janitor and they're a lawyer. And I think that's ludicrous. I mean, because if you have two people who truly connect, what difference does it make about the income?
Well, at the end of the day, when you're dealing with finances and relationships, you have a huge problem because you have two people in different financial, economic, and social statuses in one relationship. And
what is the problem that you are not mature enough to say, okay, baby, I know that you're a janitor and that's what you love to do and you're good at doing that job. I'm a lawyer. I chose this position. I'm good at what I do. She automatically knows he's a good man. Ain't nothing wrong with him because he pushes a broom. He cleans the hell out them floors.
But a lot of times, not even just women, but men, we go by expectations of what society thinks.
Right.
Absolutely.
And it's all about expectations. And you have this lawyer. You know, I mean, me and my girlfriends used to joke, can you bring him to the Christmas party? Or, can you bring him to the Christmas party? Or on the way to the Christmas party, you tell him you're the mailman.
You even bring them home. You need to introduce them to your parents. And dealing with the students that I work with or dealing with the students that I deal with, that money issue comes up again because it's, okay, well, she wants to go out every week. And I have to tell her, I make $5 an hour working in the bookstore. I can't take you out every weekend.
And she should understand that. That's what I'm saying. If you have a good man or a good woman and you guys can come together and you know he's a good man, you know she's a good woman, it doesn't matter about society. This is your life and you found a mate that is worthy of you.
But let's go back to something you said before. You used the term a good man. And I think that oftentimes there's so many definitions of what a good man is. So let's get into this. What is a good man?
And I want to be many definitions. It should be based upon the woman.
Whoa. So you're saying that the definition of a good man should be determined by the woman?
By the woman. What's good for her may not be good for me.
But doesn't
she may want that.
But doesn't that cause a problem in the psyche of a man? That he's constantly transforming who he is to accommodate every single woman that he's with? Should there not be some general consensus that we've all, some working operational definition that we all have to say, okay, this is a good man, this is a good woman? Because if you're not used to be treating good, if you're not used to being treated in a good way, and you've been beat upside your head, called outside your name, and not come with flowers and candies, you don't perceive that as good. Because
like a lot of men will say, you'll get the men, and because his woman allows him to come in at 4 o'clock in the morning and bop her upside the head, and oh, you got a good woman. She got your back. She stays there for you through thick and thin. Good to who?
And that's good for
what? Who's to say that being a good man is restricted to just giving those flowers and candy? What happens to just being able to sit there on the couch and hold your woman and tell her that she's beautiful?
That's why I said it's an individual thing. I don't think, I mean, you could take a survey and say the top 10, but for just finding that mode, I don't think it's going to happen.
And what's their
hierarchy? I don't even think it's realistic.
What are you comparing to?
Right.
Well, if you think about it, it's not outlandish to compare yourself or to define yourself through that woman, especially if you're looking for that one woman, because it says, the Bible says to hide your heart in the Lord, and then so that he should seek him first to find you.
Right.
So if your hierarchy is to put God first anyway, then it should your journey shouldn't be that difficult.
Right. There should not be a journey. It says he who finds a husband, not he who finds a wife, not she who finds a husband. So
that's a good point. But oftentimes we don't communicate enough early on in the relationship. There's a concept that I actually heard about called naked dating. See, we have no problem becoming physically naked early in the relationship, but we do have a problem becoming emotionally and intellectually naked. So if my main form of communication is breasts and penises and vaginas and thighs and hips, but I don't know your goals, your interests, your passions, your likes, your dislikes, how can I truly say that I'm with someone who's compatible and he is a good man, she is a good woman?
You wouldn't know that because you're not singling yourself down to that's just one person. You have a multitude. You have whatever the flavor of the month is. So how would you know? How would you know what a good man is, like you said, if you've never been treated well? Or even for a man, how would you know what a good woman is if you've never been treated well?
So if we're all walking around in complete confusion with our own perceptions of this, that, and the other, how can we ever have quality male-female relationships?
101 questions before you ever get intimate. And I mean the credit questions, I want to see how you treat your mama, your sisters, your nieces. And you have to actually take them through an interview process. You have to take them through a screening process, literally. I mean, because you can get online and look up whether or not you a felon or not. Right. We don't do our research. We just, I like him. Oh, I like her. And before you know it, you're in the bed, but then he'll say something the next morning while you making breakfast in his shirt. And you be like, I don't like you.
And then even in the interview process, it's just like an interview process. You're sitting there, you got a boss across from you, they're trying to get hired from.
Absolutely.
You're telling them what they
Right.
want to hear.
Absolutely.
You have to have
Absolutely.
an honest interview. And if you're talking
Absolutely.
about being raw in relationships, that means being emotionally raw as well. So they talk about, I have conversations, arguments with female students all the time that men aren't emotional, and I disagree.
Oh, I do.
I think men are very emotional. It's just that their majority emotion is fear. And when they're fearful, then that causes them to do all kind of outlandish things. That's that insecurity. That's that oh, well, she's not into me as much as I am. I need to find that security elsewhere. I need to look elsewhere for this, that, and the third. So if you're fully evaluating how you get into a relationship and you're being emotionally raw, that means being honest about her with everything. How many people you've been with, what's your hang-ups, all that type of situation, so they can decide whether or not they want to be with you.
Good point. We're going to take a quick commercial break and come back to this phenomenal discussion. I hope that you're enjoying what you're hearing. Stay with us for the next side of this break.